Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. Tuesday night after work, trying to get some more stuff cranked out here. And cannot lie, I'm very excited about these next couple because there's some tools that I've refrained from using that I really want to use. I want to open them every time when possible, brand new in pristine condition. And there's one that I just really want to get mixed in, kind of see what I think of it, in part because I'm interested in other versions of it. So before I do that, we've got to do this one. We've got some cool stuff here as well, including some things that you don't really see that often. So, things that you do see often, we're going to have some repeat offenders here. Number one, I always do timestamps with links. Those are there for your convenience. First and foremost, any order that you place at KC Tool, you get a bit of thanks. Again, currently shipping a number 2 bit Phillips, I should say, from VIT. Spend over $100, which we would have done here, you get the German tool sticker pack. And this was still in the seasonal, where if you buy any item, including, you know, the mini can of Ballistol, you get a mini can of Ballistol. So you guessed it, we stuck that on our order as well. Again, that works really good when you're like within that threshold. Maybe you're at $96 and, you know, a little bit more gets you the deal, and you're like, do I want 8 pins? What screwdriver do I get? You're running out of time. Boom, Ballistol, get a free one. Same thing. If you're just shy of free freight, throw that on, get a free can. It's just kind of a no-brainer to me. So, like I said, we racked up quite a few of those, and I have absolutely zero regrets, aside from wishing I would have gotten more. That said, I guess we'll get started here with, again, kind of just, we won't spend a ton of time on these repeat offenders, but up first from Knipex, it is their part number 1372-8. This order goes back a good ways, but it came to me on August 6th, so that kind of puts it in perspective. Some of you probably know that part number, and this is the 8-inch forged wire strippers. If you recall, some of you are like, hey, wait, wasn't there a huge sale on those? There totally was. And, I went ahead and cashed in on them. I like these. I've had good luck with them. I can't explain it. I prefer the cheap, like, auto strippers. They've worked really well for me. I have had a couple instances recently where I couldn't really fit those in, and I use like the Philo style, you know, little Wycon control deal. But, you know, at work we've always had, you know, like this style, just like the dumbed down version. And they work, they're functional, but man, the automatic ones are just kind of my like I said, I know they're cheap, they're made in Taiwan, everyone and their dog has their version of it. That's just me. That's what works great for me. I've had good luck with them. And every pair I've bought is still functional. Now, granted, I have quite a few pairs of them by now, but I really like the automatic stripper style. So right here with these are, of course, the AWG ones. That's sort of the big selling point here. So you can see on the side, we've got 12 through 20 stranded, and then your solid, you're going to be just a size, you know, down from that, going 10 to 16. You can cut 832 and 632 screws. You've got a pretty nice little crosshatch here. That's kind of one of the unsung heroes in my opinion. As you should know at this point in time in the channel, I love crosshatch jaws on pliers. They grab, they grip better in my opinion, and that is present here on these. I don't really know what more we can say about these that I haven't said, but they're just really good, solid pliers. So now that's all the time we're going to spend on them, because again, we've covered those in detail before. I don't quite remember what the sale was. I think it was even one of those deals where you had to add it to your cart, you know, before you saw the price type of a deal. Seems like a standalone email went out, and it was just a situation where I thought, you know, probably not going to see that price ever again. So I kind of think what I'll do with those is probably have them at work, in all honesty. There is the chance I give them to my nephew. I'm not 100% sure, in part because I feel like I may have already had a pair that I was going to take to work that I think I didn't, because I have them in my electrical box. So basically there's the big box over here at the front of the shop that I know has a pair, and then I know I put a pair in my like electrical box down here, the US Generals. So I'm thinking that those will probably go to work unless I decide to gift them. My nephew's actually, he's wired a couple of motors, and just threw them right into it. You know, we were issuing some stuff, and I said, well, let me just show you what we do with these. And He did really good. You know, that's one of those things. It's if you've never done one before, you know, it's kind of like intimidating. I said, hey, here's what you're going to tie off. And you got 1, 2, 3, and then you tie off these other 9 leads in this manner. And he did great. So maybe they'll go to him, or maybe I'll just take them to work so we can use them there. Who knows? But the bottom line is, it was a stupid good deal. I'm sure a lot of you cashed in on that as well. And that's where we're going to leave it. Sticking on the repeat offender front, we're going to throw down another item from Knipex. It is their part number 0822 145. These are currently listed for $53.16. I think these were I don't know if there's maybe like it's not really advertised, but periodically, I don't know if it's like quarterly or, you know, cycles every couple of months, but there will be, if you go and manually look at everything, or you have a wish list and you check it even, there will be times where like everything from a Z is like, whoa, you're like, wait, what's the deal? Why is this, like, it's not on sale, but like the price is significantly lower, you know? The Knipex does that a couple times a year, and I cashed in on another pair of these. These are, they think, oh, those kind of look small. Well, that's the point. They're super handy. They're not to the point that they're like cumbersome to use. They're just really, really efficient, and I absolutely love these. These are in the running for my favorite pair of Knipex pliers, actually. These are I noticed those were stiff too. These are pretty stiff by Knipex standards coming out of the box. That said, they should wear down really well. I've got the pair that I use all the time for all sorts of crud over there in the electrical box, sort of right as you come in the shop. That's one of the reasons I just grab them and go type of a deal. But these are their 5.7 inch. They're not 5.5, they're not 6, they're 5.7. So, you know, if that means anything to you, whether you're Hemi or, you know, heaven forbid, you know, you've got like a 88, 98 Chevy GMC truck and you like the number 5.7, and here you go. You can put them in that toolbox thing that they put in the engine bay, because then you'd have to work on it all the time. But these are nothing short of fantastic. What they are a combination plier, and you're thinking like, well, duh, you know, you can tell that's what a combination plier is. These are combination needle nose. It kind of takes the best of both worlds. So you've got your standard, you know, stereotypical combination plier, and then you take your standard stereotypical needle nose plier and you combine them. And the reason you're seeing these reappear on my channel is because I love them. Always here on the bench is this big pair of Channellock 318 CB. CB being the code blue handle. No, that is not foreign made. That's just what they do. It does get confusing because a lot of their foreign stuff comes in that color scheme. But trust me, these are Medville, Pennsylvania. But it's just a situation where everything I can do with these is awesome, and I find that I personally use needle nose more than I use standard pliers. However, there are some situations where you don't want needle nose, you need the standard plier. And this literally combines the best of both worlds, and it does it in a small form factor. I mean, these are just absolutely dwarfed by the Channellocks, right? And that's, like I said, the point. What I would love to see Knipex do, I think these are kind of under the radar. If you see me bring something in multiple times, spoiler alert, that means it's good. Okay. Whether I'm giving them to people, whether I'm taking a pair to work, whether it's like, yeah, you know, this would be great for my nephew. Also see, anytime I mention that, like it's at my sister's house, there for me as well. I would love to see a larger pair of these. Maybe it doesn't have to be 8 to 10 inches, even like 7 to 8. Would be a sweet spot. I think that would be a really good tandem. I think you could put these packaged in a set and they would do quite well. Again, if you have never used these, you're missing out. I highly recommend them. Maybe not at the $53 mark. I might suggest you like monitor them, put them on a wish list, check back, you know, and you check tool of the day or something. And if you ever see that time where it's like 32% off, you know, Knipex stuff, see if these are there and grab them. I don't think you will have any regrets. Of course, you know what you do, you know what you use, what you encounter on a daily basis, or what you're into at home in your free time. This, in my opinion, I don't know anyone that could buy these that wouldn't find them extremely functional and useful. So that is a win in my opinion. Coming in now, I guess we're going to stick with yet another repeat offender. This sucker right here, you'll instantly recognize it. I think the price has gone up a bit. I think they used to be like 15 bucks when we started getting them. But 1955 will net you part number 1102 from Gedore. If you want the long one, we can give it to you. it will be GR2950529. It's right here. It is their L-Boxx Mini. Just like the little Knipex combination needle nose pliers, these are just insanely useful for me. There are times that I wish that they were slightly bigger, or, you know, had like more user adjustability. So I could like dial in if I have something long I want over here, and then I wanted, you know, like to add a row. That would be just the bee's knees. The L-Boxx stuff, you get past this footprint and you start getting pretty high in price there. I know there's a lot of fans of like the Milwaukee Packouts. I've got some, I use them, I don't have any complaints really aside from the price. Rigid Man, I mean, they're all kind of the same thing. You know, we brought some in the past. Sortimo, it's a shame that there's not like a competitive marketplace in the US to give us better prices on any of this stuff. With the Packouts, people just pay whatever, you know. They don't wait for sales, they just go get it. I won't go into it, it would waste a ton of time. But, they're all kind of like, you know, do you want a sealed lid? Does it need to be waterproof? Is it going to be out on a job site where it can start dumping rain before you can pull it into safety type of thing? That adds value, yes. But things like this are just really, really good. I like Stanley Sort Masters, for goodness sakes, you know. I use Plano tackle boxes as well. But what I'm going to do, instead of opening this thing up, I'm just going to give you a real-world look at some of the stuff that I do with these. Every time I bring them in, I have plans, I have ideas, they follow through. I've got some that are set up with like loaded down with Wera stuff, right? Sort of the odd ducks. We got the ratcheting pistol grip, we got the turbo. I think that's where I keep the T-handle, not the new T-handle that ratchets, but the original T-handle. That's the bit version. And then I keep some of their 89mm blades and accessories, and I kind of just package it all in there. In this case, and where these work really well is with electrical stuff, in my opinion, or like maybe if you restore old gauges or something along those lines. So what we have here, it's just LED bulbs. That's all there is to it. And essentially the way this works, you can pull everything out. Like if you just wanted to kit this thing out with like Ernst socket rails, you could do that, and you could throw down a 3/8 ratchet. You can pull all these dividers, you can pull some of them, but you can't make it smaller than this. The best you can do in terms of micromanaging is a 2x3 pattern for 6 compartments. You know, that's kind of what it comes down to. So if you want one side open, if you want the whole thing open, or if you want it like this, that's kind of where it's going to stand. But yeah, these are just LED bulbs. A lot of times I keep fuses, certain like specialty type of things in them. The cool deal is these will actually nest. So let's say that you had LED bulbs in this one, and then right on top of it you're going to have like butt connectors, T-taps, posi taps, wire tie, that type of stuff. Stack, and it locks in place. It's kind of a neat deal. Like you can see right here, there's sort of that little area. You can see it pressing in and out. That's where these catch, and then you can literally just come in and grab the handle, and you can lift. You could have 5 of them down here with whatever you want. You can just take them all with you at the same time. So, like I said, they used to be a little bit more budget friendly. If you know what you're going to be doing with them, and you know that this footprint will work for you, these are a fantastic option. Just to give you a rough idea, I know we're not doing internal dimensions. We'll call that 10, and coming across, we'll just go from there to kind of ballpark it 5.5 to 6, you know. My advice, if you're thinking like, hey, this would work really good for me, buy one, just one, get it in, make sure it's going to work for you, make sure you like the layout. Last thing you want is to like get a whole fleet of these things, you know, get like 6 to 10 of them coming, and then you find out like, oh, if it was only, you know, 1/4 of an inch bigger, if I had an extra 3/8 of an inch this way. Just look out for yourself. Bottom line right there. So that said, I think we have covered our repeat offenders at this point, and we're going to get into some stuff I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty dadgum excited by. That said, I got to grab some stuff for comparison, so I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so that didn't take long because we were right there at the big box. So we're going to set these Knipex off to the side. Gonna throw a wrench in your plans right here. We have 3 different wrenches, okay? We've got Stahlwille, Heyco, and Stahlwille. So what are we doing? Why are those here? Well, they're here because in this hand, off to the side, the non-alpha gloved hand, we have some Gedore wrenches. we're just going to go in here. I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what, well, let's start here, okay? Part number GR6099510. This is from their 7 series. Sets you back $21.85 standard pricing. It is a 9/16. That's right, 9/16, not 14 millimeter, not 13, not 15, not metric. This is SAE, imperial, fractional, whatever you want to call it, from Gedore. And this would kind of be the closest comparison we would have to my much beloved Stahlwille Open Box 13 wrenches, right? So, lots going on here. These are very, very nice wrenches. Gedore and Stahlwille, in my opinion, that's kind of like the pinnacle. Hazette, very, very nice, but also like considerably pricier as well, most of the time. Kind of depends what you're doing. Cool thing here, you actually get pretty large. You know, a lot of times in American stuff, you know, you got like, you orient the wrench this way, it's 9/16. You orient it this way, it's 9/16. But the way Gedore does this, this is their number 7 AF for American form, something along those lines. You got 9/16 down here at the box end. The box end is 12 point. You've got very, very nice, very large, very legible Gedore branding there. And then you've got 9/16 here on the open end. If we flip this around, it's kind of the same thing. Let's go ahead and get this off of here. Looks like it's covering the Gedore logo. There went the fingernail. We kept it for a little while. Let's see. Usually, there we go. I was going to say, if you get underneath these, they tend to come up pretty well. But what we have, same thing here on the back side. 9/16 on the open end. You've got Gedore. And then where the front side, if you want to call it that, says number 7 AF, this side is going to say made in Germany. So if you're big about display purposes or whatever, you know, this is what you'd be working with front and back. The lightweight of this wrench is really impressive. Also the grip. This is one of the advantages of the matte chrome. It's not as glossy. It doesn't slip and slide through your hand. Some people prefer that. Some people prefer, you know, just have the mirror finish and don't care. There's just a super, super nice texture to these wrenches. And what I mean by that is not like it's built up and thick and cumbersome. You can't access the fastener. I'm just saying like it's positive retention in my bare hand here. Same thing here in the gloved hand. It's just an extra tack, if you will. So look at that profile. These are insane. You're talking to a guy who grew up using Craftsman wrenches. Okay, the Craftsman wrenches that were, you know, like this thick of a beam, and then they had the boxed panel, you know, from here to here. So it's like, you know, you almost like clamp down, you know, like if this goes down, you have to like close the jaws of my hand here. Like on the Craftsman, it would be like this, right? And sometimes that actually seems comfortable. Of course, then when you start really bearing down, you got the box in, and you're trying to break something free. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but you know, it's each person's going to prefer their own thing. All I want to highlight here is the absolute masterpiece that this wrench is. Now, typically, and this is kind of sad, you know, like when you see people like me, there's not a lot of people like me, especially not a lot of people into German tools that then go and get the fractional stuff, right? It's just, I'm probably the only idiot doing that, you know, at least taking the time to put it on YouTube for you. But it's a situation where when people typically jump in, there's kind of like your Wera people that are like, oh, you know, this Wera stuff, you know, look at this thumb retention, take it easy, you know, lots of selling points there, totally get it. And then you've kind of got, you know, like a few people that are kind of like, oh, well, you know, what's the cheapest? And then everyone else is just, it's Stahlwille. That's kind of like your default, you know, de facto winner, if you will. And I can't fault anyone for that. That's why you saw the video where we brought in my dream set of, you know, German wrenches, if you will. And it was this right here, the Stahlwille Open Box 13. Again, look at the refinement on these. This actually might be a bit thicker. They also, it's just kind of more of a rounded edge here, you know, I guess it's sort of, again, personal preference. Holding the, we won't do like an in-depth comparison here, but if this is important to you, if you're thinking like, I've been trying to decide what I want to do, you know, for my wrench set, well, This would be their standard offerings. All right, this is 9/16, very, very frequently run into by yours truly. It's going to equate to what? 3/8, bolts, if you will. So that's why I'm going to use it and see it all the time. But having these suckers lined up like this as best I can, end to end on the box end, the Gedore is notably longer. Now, some people will prefer that for leverage, breaking things free. Some people think, oh, increased access. Others of you will be like, oh, no, that's bad. I want shorter. Shorter is good. And the issue being with a lot of these wrenches from Germany, especially in 9/16 or SAE, they'll have tons of metric wrenches, okay? They'll have tons of offerings in the metric line. If you want them like this, great. You want them extra long, cool. You want them, whatever flavor you want, you can do it. But then you come to SAE, and they don't really invest in it. It's like, we offer that set. It's not to be good enough for those stupid Americans. I don't know what their logic is, but that's why these other wrenches are here. But real quick right now, I'm just going to come in and call out, that's about 1/2 of an inch, you could label this now. Lining these up by the open end, we're going to, I know a lot of you are like, I want to see the profile, buddy. It's coming. This should be the same measurement here. And yeah, I think you can tell, it's pretty dadgum close to the 1/2 inch mark. If you're wondering where the Black Widow is, it's at the front of the shop, and we're not going to take time to get it. But that gives you an idea, it fits in that footprint. And again, these are what both companies would have as their standard offering. The Open Box 13 for Stahlwille, and the number 7 for Gedore. Now, if we put these back on top of each other, and I line them up by the open end, okay, flip that over, both are incredibly thin. Again, some people, that's usually advantageous. Some people don't like it, for ergonomic or comfort reasons. Again, kind of depends what you're doing and how you're doing it. But this is just a nice, quick little comparison of these two. So if you're thinking hey, you said you had your dream set. I remember that video. You had the whole, and you've even added to it recently. You got the 1 1/8. That's totally correct. So why is this here? Because I'm curious, because I like to try other things, because I kind of like to feel everything I can out. Now, we've done that with metric. The issue is I don't use it as often. My intention there, I started buying 13 millimeter. I figured I'd use it the most or run into it the most frequently. I'm going to use this way more. That's just how things are. Again, I don't claim to be something I'm not. I'm not over here building skylines. I'm not working on, 70s Nissans. I don't have, drift cars in the drive. I do old Chrysler stuff. Okay. And there's not 13. Granted, sometimes, fasteners get so bad you can make metric stuff fit. But everything I do is old. It's fractional. Okay. So that's where this comes in. Now this, like I told you, this Open Box 13 is Stahlwille standard. And if I come up here and I put the Gedore on top of it, and then I take this Stahlwille wrench, and you're like, hey, what's the deal? What's up with that guy? Why is he longer than the Gedore? This is why. This is one of the things I want to highlight, okay? This is something I would love to, build a whole set of. This is the Open Box 14. This is Stahlwille's slightly longer series. Okay, so case in point, if we compare it with a Stahlwille, keep in mind it's 9/16 versus 13 millimeter. It's just barely longer, but when we put these together, you can see it's also just that much longer than the Gedore number 7. So that's kind of what that is there for, is for comparison purposes. The other thing Stahlwille does, you can see the offset on the wrench. Case in point, we grab the Open Box 13, and then we grab the Open Box 14, and you can just see the offset present on this one. So you're thinking okay, well, hey, that's straight too. What's the big deal? Well, check this out. Heyco, I absolutely love these Maxline wrenches. My only complaint with them, they don't sell them in fractional sizes. If they did, we would have had a set of these. These are stupid cheap. These are incredibly reasonable. They've been great wrenches. I've had them now for quite a while. I know a lot of you have picked them up. Just when you're looking for that type of an offset, you can spend the money and get Stahlwille, you can get Gedore, you can do Wera, whatever you want to do. Hazette, you can do it. But the Heyco are, and it's also, for those of you that like the high polished, SK snap-on type wrenches, this is sort of crossing over as safely as possible. Some of you might hate the feel of this, you might hate the look of it. This, however, is like, oh, that looks like it came off the tool truck. Super shiny. That's what I like. Well, you're mainly hopefully buying that for the offset that you don't have and saving money versus the tool truck. But I've said it many times. I've talked to Colin about it. I'm like, man, if they would just make that in fraction, I would buy a set. I'd get a set for work. That'd be great. But they don't. And same thing here with Stahlwille. If you're thinking like, hey, why don't you have this in SAE? I would love to, but they don't make it in SAE. That's the killer. That's just a deal where, I realize, it's kind of getting phased out, whatever you want to say. Not as common, not as prevalent. People should use the metric system, whatever you want to do. You do you. I still use it. I use it at work. I use it here at the house on old stuff. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I grew up with. And I would love to have the Stahlwille Open Box 14s in SAE sizes. I'd love to have the Heyco Maxline in SAE sizes, but they're simply not offered now. That's where we get into our next series of wrenches. All right, this is a good old Gedore coming through for us. Okay, this first wrench is part number. Everything's going to be GR 600 as your start. This is going to be $54.70. Costs $20.83. It is a 7/16. Up next, GR 600, $55.50. It is going to set you back $22.61. It's a ½ inch. And you might have guessed it, the 9/16 is up next. It is GR 600, $56.30. It'll set you back $25.25. And we throw these down, and you're thinking like, hey, you have a beautiful, super thin, super nice looking, 9/16 from Gedore. What's going on here? Well, let's open it and take a look. Okay, so keep in mind, going 9/16 to 9/16, Gedore to Gedore. This wrench right here is going to be the number 7, $21.85. This one right here is going to be $25.25. So a little bit spendier for this guy. And if you're saying why, what's the difference? Well, let's grab the number 7 and line it up with this one, and you will hopefully be able to see. And you think, my lord, you got something that looks more like a Craftsman, and you paid more money just so you could have it more American style. What an idiot. Well, if you totally object to having, your size stampings there, and you want it like old school American where it's on, right there at the open end, yeah, that would be a concern. Obviously, right here, you can see the design. Let's actually flip these so you can kind of pick it up better on this side. So again, made in Germany, present on both sides. Note, no size stampings here. But if we flip her back over, let's try to get this sticker off. I'll pull it up so I can maybe salvage what's left of the fingernails here for the time being. Beautiful. We'll have to run some Ballistol over that to get the adhesive off. It does really good at that, by the way. So, this is the number 7 up top, and then this is the 1B down below. And if you think, okay, so it's like the Stahlwille, it's a little bit longer. Cool, we get it. Well, check that out. It's also got the deep offset. And this is something, if you want a German wrench with this type of an offset, granted they do make the double box ends. I guess you could go that route. But if you want a combination wrench with the double offsets, to the best of my knowledge at this point in time, I don't think Hazette has one either. They all have it. Like if this was a 14mm, you can do it. Whatever you want, any brand. But go fractional, no. You got to go this route. So, give me 1 second here. All right, my apologies. I've organized things and it made it more difficult to find these. So, right here, this is from Heyco, and this is what I have for the double offsets, right? They're going to be a bit more aggressive, obviously significantly more aggressive. I would assume the Stahlwille and Hazette are the same. I haven't looked at the specs recently. It is something I plan to buy at some point in time. I constantly hold out hope for tool of the day. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's nothing I have to have. This top side that you can see really well is, of course, a 14x15, and then the bottom one that you can faintly see anything at all on is a 1/2 by 9/16. And it's like stupid crazy Just, you can tell they care more about this one. They probably sell significantly more of them. That was one of the complaints when those came in. But again, these are really, really reasonably priced coming from Heyco, and they've been super solid wrenches. So, the Gedore here, the 1B, is kind of like the happy medium from the number 7 or the Open Box 13 to the full-on double offset, right? And that's kind of where we stand. So in terms of the business end, look how quick we get down. We don't have wasted material. That's a good thing, at least in my opinion. I have instant access to the fastener. You don't have like a super thick, stupid, you know, gap here that's going to bush everything out. Look how thin the end of the wrench is, right? I mean, that is that is someone very, very confident in their forgings here. A lot of times with the cheaper wrenches, yeah, you know, the mirror polish catches some people, but just look at that. I mean, here's your box end, and then it's like you got a couple of hairs and you've got the end of the wrench. If we come in here, you know, not to bag on Heyco too bad, but this is sort of more typical of what you would see. And then, of course, you know, you get a cheaper wrench and you get like a super thick, crazy box end, right? And that doesn't always equate to strength. Sometimes it's just a poor design, right? So this is just an insanely nice wrench in my opinion. Will this little wing here be a detriment? It's kind of nice. It's almost like a thumb rest. Not Wera style thumb rest, super ergonomic and thought out, but like, kind of see what they're doing. This just gives me extra chance to not slip is the way I'm taking that. Could it be fully aesthetic? Possibly, but just grabbing this wrench, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, if I had this sitting here, that's just a nice landing spot for my thumb. So who knows? We're going to come in now and open up the 1/2 and the 7/16. And you're thinking like, man, you do some strange things here. Well, I admit I do, but I also often go by what's in stock. Okay, and I also go by kind of what I want to try and feel out. So the long and short of this is quite simply, I'm really, really thinking about building out the Gedore 1B set. It wouldn't be anything crazy. I would just stick with what I use. Like, these are going to be the 3 most frequently used sizes for me, okay? 9/16, what do we do there? 3/8 bolts. 1/2 inch, what do we do there? 5/16 bolts. And then probably what's more common than the, you know, 1/2 inch wrench would be 7/16. And what is that used with? Well, that's right, 1/4 inch bolts, which we use all the time. So I would probably build it like 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, and then we enter these 3 that are going to be like the bread and butter, and then 5/8 and 11/16 might be stragglers for me. 3/4 would be really nice. 13/16, so we can kind of wait. 7/8, use that quite a bit. 15/16 all the time, particularly at work. And then that's probably where I would stop with these. You know, maybe at some point in time we get up to 3/4 hardware, but this is just something over time I will build it. If I'm placing an order and like tool of the day is out of stock and projected to be a long time, I can check these, I'll throw them on. If I'm close on freight and it's not anything that I'm like dying to get in immediately to make a video on, I'll throw this on to get free freight. That's sort of how we built out a lot of things that we've sort of built up to set standard, if you will. And I think I'm pretty excited about them. Kinda, I'm not gonna lie, I have considered, like, man, these are just both stupid nice wrenches, the Stahlwille and Gedore. You're always going to hear about Stahlwille. You cannot go wrong if you go Stahlwille, in my opinion, with their wrenches. The Gedore is not far behind, and if you're on a budget or you're looking at prices or you don't have any brand preference or you think, yeah, you know, I just want to try a little bit of everything, you can't do much better than either of these two, in my opinion. So like I said, my favorite set of wrenches at work is in fact Proto Challengers. I have no idea what they date back to. I'd assume anywhere from like the 70s to the 90s. But you know, they're more traditional American. You know, they're shiny chrome. I'm sure at one point they were super, super nice. But I just love the way those feel in my hand. They don't break. They've been around forever. Right grip, can't go wrong there. But in terms of the German stuff, like these two would be, for the vast majority of people, the front runners, right? I don't know. I've currently, obviously, the Stahlwilles are right here at the big box in the front. I've debated putting the Gedores in the roll cart. I've debated building the Gedore set out and using it at work. I don't know. It's just a super, super nice wrench. And then these guys right here just offer something that the other manufacturers don't for SAE sizes. So we could spend a ton more time here. Eventually we will. That's kind of like the long-term goal on the channel here. To buy a wrench, you know, and use it for 2 weeks and come back and tell you it's the greatest thing I've ever had in my life. I can't imagine living life without it. That's sort of stupid, and it's dishonest in my opinion. You need a lot of time before you, like, I take what I say quite seriously. You know, some people, yeah, you put a little incentive in front of them, or, you know, a couple dollars or something, or free stuff, and, well, whatever, what do you want me to say? You know, I'll spit it back out verbatim for you. If I'm going to tell you that this is my favorite wrench I've ever used, I've got to use the frickin' thing. You know, like, it might be great initially, it might wind up then sucking. It might be, like, really, really good, and it might tie with something, but, like, I mean, you'd kind of have to have had something catastrophic happen between your favorites to say, like, definitively, this is the best, you know. Screwdrivers, wrenches especially, it would almost have to be a deal like, oh, the tolerances on the Gedore are the best ever, but that becomes a problem. You know, like, you're sitting there and you're dismantling a 383, you know, you're pulling it out and you're just tearing the engine down, and, like, the wrench is immaculately perfect. It's the best there ever was, but you've got, like, all this crud on a bolt and you can't get the wrench on it, you know. And then it's like, well, you know, the Stahlwille slid over, you know, or, oh, you know, the Proto, you know, just broke that crud off and fit. You know, it was a little bit more sloppy, I guess, technically, but it worked better. So there's all kinds of criteria. Some of them are subjective, some of them are personal. But what I can tell you is these are all, especially the Stahlwille and Gedore, are just really, really good. I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're a Mac Proto, if you're Snap-on, whatever. I don't care if it's some high-end Japanese wrench. Unless you're just being totally unfair, I don't think you could throw these in the hand of anyone that actually is going to utilize the wrench and have them be disappointed. Some people, yeah, they're going to be like, well, this isn't shiny chrome. Yeah, okay, that's subjective, though. That's personal opinion and preference, you know, for aesthetics. Use the wrench and tell me what you think type of a deal, right? I personally prefer, you know, the German style, the matte chrome. It's just personal preference. That said, what are the Proto Challengers at work that I like so well? They were the stupid, shiny, crazy mirror, maybe not mirror, but like super typical American chrome, right? So I don't hold that against them, that they, oh, well, it's been way better if they had, you know, the matte chrome and had a better grip to them type of a deal. They're dang good wrenches. Same thing here, you know, don't hate on them because they're not your mirror polished chrome. Think of them if they offered a mirror polished chrome version, right? So long story short, these are here for testing purposes. Why didn't I do the half and the 7/16 on this? I totally would have. They were simply not in stock. So again, for me personally, those are the three most free, especially here at the house. You know, now at work, I would want 15/16, you know, and 3/4 and some other stuff. But like here at the house, that's going to be your bread and butter that I turn all the time. And so ultimately, they're just going to be used and spun around, and we'll see what we think of them. I'm checking this one out. It kind of seemed, I guess they're the same. I was going to say this almost seems like more of a white present in the matte chrome, but now that I get this down here, maybe it's just the lighting. This one looks pretty dull, but then I hold it to my face and I'm like, nope, that's just me reading from a distance. So I was thinking it had that like Heyco effect going on. This one is obviously the smallest of the trio, but I mean, I just tap that into focus for you. These are beautifully done. Again, this is sort of like what I'm assuming that would just be a landing spot, so I think it's not aesthetic. I think it's aesthetic plus functionality. If you know for sure, let me know. But again, look at that. I mean, that's just a really well executed wrench. So these are the 1Bs, and again, I cannot get this style of a wrench from any of the other German manufacturers. So this right here, yep, we can go Hazette, we can go Stahlwille, we could go Heyco if we wanted to. I might honestly go all Heyco on the, especially if like there's no massive sales. You'd save a ton of money going Heyco. and then the SE that I'm going to use way more often, we might go a different route. So what I want to know from you, and I'm not sure this will apply to many of you here stateside. Now, some of the people that we watch that are constantly amused by some random guy in Texas buying German tools to work on old Chryslers and stuff, they probably have the insight and the information we want to know. What do you honestly prefer and why? I'm looking again for people that have used Gedore and used Stahlwille, even throw in Hazette if you want to. Which wrench do you find yourself, if money's no object, supply is no object, which one do you use? Which one would you want? Which one do you want at home? Which one do you want at work, and why? That, I think, would be very, very useful information for people. Again, Stahlwille, in terms of the wrenches, that's going to be the de facto go-to. Sort of like if you ask virtually anyone in this country, like, hey, who makes the best ratchet? You're probably overwhelmingly going to hear Snap-on, especially, amongst American brands. But with the wrenches, it's going to be interesting to have that perspective. Now, there's probably some of you in aviation, and again, Stahlwille would, I think, have a much larger footprint than Gedore, particularly here. I know a lot of guys that work at Bell, it's just they're all electricians. So, I don't know, like if they get kitted out stuff from work or something, who knows? Maybe they're just using like Sonic or something. But yeah, I want to know, if you've used these, which do you prefer and why? Similarly, are you more of a Stahlwille, Open Box 14, or do you like the Gedore 1B series? So we'll go way more in depth on all this. Again, this is just the tool haul with like initial comparison stuff. I don't want to spend a ton of time going through all the particulars, weighing them out, getting exact lengths, grams, finite fitment and stuff. That'll come in due time, but right now it's just to showcase this stuff, why I got it, what I was thinking, and more importantly, if any of you have first-hand experience, to pick some of that up as well. So with that said, I think this is everything for KC Tool Haul 84. I do hope you enjoyed. Again, kind of hit you with some dupes there at the start, some repeat offenders, but then boom, you probably did not see this one coming. So, just when you think I've completed a set and I'm happy, oh no, curiosity gets the best of me. So, you never know what to expect, and hopefully that's one of the reasons you stick around on the channel. So, if you want to help me out, you don't have to do anything aside from leave likes, leave comments, especially if you've got experience with this stuff. That is the ultimate thing you could do to help out. Similarly, tell other people about the channel, subscribe if you haven't, tell your friends that might like the channel about it. That's really it. We get completely run over by people that make like videos about stuff on sale on Amazon. Makes no sense to me. Same thing if I was making videos on Harbor Freight Flyers and then some dude had some crazy awesome tool haul and like my Harbor Freight Flyer review got 20 times. I don't understand it. I really don't. But it's like consistent across the board that way. And so do I bombard you with Amazon, like tool sales? Absolutely not. I continue to do things like this that apparently only fractions of other people like. So enjoy it while we can do it. And again, your thoughts and opinions, experience firsthand, especially with any of these tools, is much appreciated. If you're using the Gedore L-Boxx minis, let me know what you're doing with them. Prepping for a thumbnail here. Very curious. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this stuff. Certainly look forward to it. And over time, we'll kind of be back with some updates on this stuff. Eventually do all our comparisons and tests and whatnot. But super happy to have these added to the arsenal. With that said, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, thanks again for watching. I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend, and I hope I catch you back here Wednesday and Saturday for more action from the shop.